So this is No Prisoners Podcast. We have two guests here today. And, of course, Gilmar, Rambo, and myself. Before we get into it, though, we need to talk about the place we're in. We are at 86 West in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, in the upstairs dining room, or the private room.
Private room.
Set up for private events, corporate events, holiday parties, networking events. 8:30. August 30th.
August 30th.
4 p.m.
Yeah, 4 p.m., 4 to 6.
This place is really great. Me and Gilmar and I really enjoy eating here a lot. We frequent this place a lot, not only because of the delicious food, but because everyone here has been really great to us ever since we've been doing the podcast and the events here. So shout out to 86 West. We love you guys.
Shout out.
But without further ado, we have Tammy and Marc Goldberg here today.
Hey.
Turn the claps up.
A little bit of claps.
We need big claps.
There it is. Yeah. We need fatter claps on the soundboard. Just like,
Fatter claps.
Yeah.
Never heard a clap
it's the
described
fattest
that way.
claps of all time.
Next time I want a slow clap.
There you go.
We'll have to figure that out. I think we have a horn. We have gunshots.
Yeah, we have a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, like
Yeah, we actually do.
those. Yeah, there it is.
We actually do.
Yeah, the horn was it came like preloaded with sounds, and we immediately put the horn in. I was like, I need a horn right now,
no doubt.
and I need gunshots.
Yeah, the gunshot right there.
It didn't come loaded like that.
No.
We went out there and got it.
Oh, that's funny.
We had, I forget what it originally came with, but some of them we have. What's the fairy sound? Hit the fairy sound. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So it
pretty.
came loaded with a
That's
bunch
cool.
of stuff like that just was just like, this is too much.
Yeah.
But enough about the soundboard. We have Marc and Tammy here. You guys are the owners of Mathnasium Doylestown.
Yes, Mathnasium of Doylestown. We actually have 5 in New York City also.
Oh, wow.
But we live here, and we love Mathnasium of Doylestown the most. So.
Yes.
Oh, do the other ones know that? Is
No.
that or is that now? That's
No.
not out there.
No, we'll keep that between
No.
us.
Nobody listens.
Yeah,
to
no one's
this.
gonna watch this.
We just won't send it to any of our New York clients.
Right.
So,
Okay, yeah.
Fair.
We'll just set up the analytics on YouTube to just stay locally.
Yeah, very
If
local.
We can do that.
No, but we opened our first location all the way back in 2008, and that was on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, and
Okay.
where we were living at the time. And then we expanded from there, mostly in New York City, in Manhattan, and then in Brooklyn. But we actually opened out here in 2015. It was actually in Buckingham over at Peddler's Village first.
Oh, okay.
And we moved in over to Doylestown in 2021, September of 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
was that just because like the new space opened up, or was it just like
our
not
lease
working?
was up, and we were looking to be, I think, more accessible to more of the Central Bucks area. And when we moved out here, like when we opened the center out here, we opened it because we wanted to spend time in this area. We were living a city life, right? It was crazy. It was hectic. And Tammy was very interested in this area and just the peaceful nature of it. And so we wanted an excuse to come out here.
I was super stressed out living in New York
Oh, I
City.
bet.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
I
the change
was.
of pace here is a lot different. I'm sure. I mean, I've never lived in
lovely.
New York, but I've been there.
Yeah. And we were
Yeah,
building our business
it's a lot.
and we had little tiny children of our own at the time too. So it's really stressful building the business. We were contracted by Mathnasium HQ, by the corporate entity, to rewrite most of the curriculum for first grade through 7th grade. Long story, but
How many, like, Mathnasium as a company, how large? Like,
there
how many?
are over 1,000 locations in North America.
So you guys have 6 of those?
We have 6 of those, yes.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
that's still a large number of 1,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
That's a lot of, that's got, like, so I guess you started with 1, obviously.
Yep.
And then you went from 1 to 2, 3, like, did you go in incremental order, or did you just, like, scale up very quickly?
So
Slowly.
slowly. We were slow.
I mean, we probably would have moved even more slowly if it wasn't for pressure from our corporate headquarters.
Yeah.
They were like, "You guys are doing so great. Open more."
Yeah, or else we're going to let somebody else in downtown.
In Manhattan.
We're going to let them open one downtown. So we opened our Union Square one, which is pretty centrally downtown, a little bit before we were ready, especially considering we were rewriting most of the curriculum for
that was
them
the biggest
at the time.
problem, that we didn't have a curriculum at the time that could scale. There were too many holes. There were too many problems. It wasn't built well for a part-time instructor to come in and teach effectively the way that we wanted kids to be taught.
Yeah, you gotta. In order to scale, you need systems.
Exactly.
I talk to a lot of people that think they're going to be able to sell their business someday, and I go, if you leave the business is over. So unless you're selling yourself, it's not going to work. So
I learned that from Robert Kiyosaki. Did you encounter his book at all?
No, I've never heard that.
I've never heard the name either. Yeah.
No.
Can we say it again, though?
Several books. Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah. I know. I was like,
I've heard of that book.
Kiyosaki. I was like, that sounds familiar. I know the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I've never read it though.
Okay, and Cash Flow Quadrant also.
Okay.
It opened my eyes to, wow, you don't have to just be an employee, and you don't have to just be an employee or a self-employed person. Or they're stuck in that case where if you sell the business, you better be selling yourself with it, or else it's not going to be worth very much. But you could have the option of building out a business where you can go on vacation and you continue to make money. And he has this quadrant where it's there's an E in one spot
For employee.
for employee, S in one spot for self-employed, B in one spot for business owner, and then I in one spot for investor. And my takeaway was I want to be a B and I want to be an I. I want to be a business owner and I want to be an investor. And I think that he would say that would be best case scenario. But if you want to be an E, because some people are called to be an employee, and we need people to be all of them, really.
Absolutely.
You just want to also be an I. You also want to be investing.
Right. The idea is you always want to be at least in a quadrant, one of the quadrants on each side. At least, right?
That makes a lot of sense. I think with during Corona or post-Corona, whatever was happening there, a lot of people all of a sudden were home and had that time, or they were on fun employment. And I know a lot of people personally that just all of a sudden sprung up businesses that some of them are quite impressive, like service events. I don't know if you know Nick and Steve Service.
No.
They're actually this month's sponsor on the
Yeah,
Happy Hour. Casual plug.
Yeah, casual.
Well done.
Yeah, they were chefs, and then the restaurants shut down. So they're like, well, what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
We're going to be private chefs. And their business has scaled since then. But it was interesting that so many people that, I think there's a lot of people right now that own businesses that shouldn't.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, basically the long way of what I was saying.
Hey, not everybody's built for it. And I'll tell you, I mean, it's very challenging, especially the way that, we wanted to build a business, not just own a job. Right?
Yeah.
And so, where, of course, all those steps along the way were really difficult, and scaling to multiple locations and all of that, and hiring great people and having great systems. And we were in a franchise, but it was a very underdeveloped franchise as far as systems were concerned.
So when you came on, how many franchises were there?
Maybe about...
We got in early.
Yeah.
We got in 200008. So
I think it was
do you think it was
60, 70
Yeah.
locations.
Okay, so you guys are ground floor at that point.
Yes.
It scaled 100x.
Yeah.
Or
And
10x
10x.
at that, yeah.
10x, and
Plus.
we grabbed one of the best territories.
Right.
Well,
Manhattan and
arguably, yeah.
Brooklyn, although not in COVID.
No, and that's what I was getting at, is that everybody thinks, oh, well, this would be great. I'll have my own business. I'll be my own boss. And then something like COVID hits, and I'll tell you, everybody else got paid and we didn't, right?
Yeah.
Because we,
Oof.
right? And
Damn, Robert Kiyosaki.
yeah, seriously,
Robert, we're gonna have us chat with you.
Yeah, but look, we got. Our business got obliterated during COVID. We actually closed 2 locations. Because we had 5 alone in Manhattan. We closed 2 in Manhattan during COVID. And I think a lot of people know how badly hit New York City got compared to the rest of the country, and how long it took and is taking New York to come back compared to the rest of the country.
Well, I think whenever you have a population density, you're going to get affected by any sort of sickness, obviously, because everybody's dense together. But then organizing and coordinating a population like that has to be, I mean, we're coordinating Doylestown, and it's an effort sometimes to get like an event put together.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine trying to do something on the scale of New York City, which is a global city.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That's pretty crazy.
And it was, I mean, look, it was a tough situation. I feel like New York didn't do a good job of adjusting once we really knew what we were dealing with, right? That was the biggest issue for me. It wasn't initially. I understood initially. Once we understood who was really at risk and who wasn't, New York didn't adjust, and it continued to scare people to the extent that they didn't want to leave their homes. They didn't want to go to work. They didn't want to go to anything for way too long.
Do you think that's just poor or ignorant leadership, or like was there just like the, because when people are like, there's an agenda here, like I couldn't imagine what the agenda could possibly be that benefits anyone top down, like anywhere in there. I think it's purely just kind of like people are slow to change, and when you're in business for yourself, you need to be quick to change.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we also have to acknowledge the trauma that people went through
no question.
in New York City. Like, it's changed that city forever, and it's changed the people forever, much like 9/11. So,
but I think in 9/11, again, you guys live there. I did not, but
we didn't during 9/11.
Not during
Yeah.
9/11, but I was there, but wasn't living there.
I felt like 9/11 changed this country for the better. I mean, the 20-year war aside, that was a complete mess. Like, we'll leave that on the shelf. But like, in terms of, you know, organizing and working together and people like acknowledging each other, I think 9/11 did a lot for like bringing a community together, where Corona was very divisive.
Oh, yes, very much so.
You're right.
Very much so.
So it's interesting because I think when we have social media to thank for that as well, but we also have social media to thank for like the number of people that own businesses that shouldn't. Your business isn't necessarily like a glamorous business. It's like we teach kids math or like how to learn or whatever the curriculum is. But people look on social media and they're like, "Oh, I want to own a business. I want a Ferrari. I want to go on yachts." And they don't realize that like the businesses that succeed the most are the ones that help people the most.
Oh, yes. That's so true.
I think that, you know, your business, you guys probably got hit pretty hard because, you know, schools were shut down, people were scared and everything like that. But like, would I be wrong in saying that like now post Corona is probably really good for you guys? Because now there's like, academically, kids are faltering.
So it should be.
Yeah.
It should be, and we're coming back. We are still not where we were pre-COVID.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's been a very slow build back. And a lot of that, I think, really is related to particularly New York. Here we're back. In New York, we're still not. And I think so much of it is just how long it all carried on. I mean, look, there were still mask mandates in New York in like March, April of last year, right? So
no way. I didn't.
Yes.
I don't think I knew that.
Yes.
Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
they just lifted
you're world
it.
travelers.
I went to New York around that time.
Right.
Yeah.
There were still like vaccine requirements. Like you had like to go to a restaurant at that point. So
I got carded for my vaccine card in like a juice place. They're like, if you're going to be sitting in here with your juice, you need to show your vaccine card. I was like, oh, okay, I'll leave then.
So it's kind of that. I don't want to get off on a tangent, but that's kind of like people don't forget that.
I don't forget.
You know what I'm saying? You walk past that juice place now, you're like, I'm not going back in there ever again.
Yeah, I don't hold it so much against the juice place, but I hold it against the government. The people running the whole show.
Right. And we
did have to close for how many months? Do you remember how we were forced to be closed?
I don't remember how long we were forced to be closed, but then the issue was, can we get anybody back to work? Right. The conditions in New York, as far as, you know, everybody pretty much would take public transportation to get to work. Did anybody want to take public transportation during COVID? No. Nobody wanted to. Right. Eventually there got to a point where the terror should have subsided because we knew who was really at risk and who wasn't. And most of the people that we employed were not people that would be at risk.
I still see people wearing masks.
Yeah.
So I think even if the information is available, there's the conspiracy notion, there's trust, there's people that just don't ever change.
Yeah.
But going back to what you said about like, oh, you're mad about the government. Like, we are the government in a way. Like, the people are like, they're citizens of our country.
Sure.
So I think we were shut down here. I personally shut the company down for 2 weeks. And then we had people that just like, we didn't know what was going to happen. And I had people that needed to work. So we went back to work without, like, we weren't supposed to, but I said, screw it. Like, what are they going to do to us?
Right.
And I think that civil disobedience, I'm not saying burning down targets or things like that, but just one of the first days we were back to work, I was pulling up to one of our home sites and there were police there. And I was like, shit.
Oh, no.
And I pull up and they were just like pumped to see people. They like
that's
they
awesome.
literally could care less that we were working. They were just like, yo, what's going on? Like,
This is great.
everything's cool out here. And I'm like, yeah.
Ooh.
Are we cool, man? So that's when I realized, I was like, damn, like, these are just people governing people. And if we just say no, you know, sometimes it takes confidence, or it takes, you know, balls to say
Yeah.
no. But there was a ton of time during that period that people came at me, like either at the gym or things. And I'm just like, get away from me.
Yeah.
Like, go away. I was at the YMCA here, and the rule was like, if you were on a machine, you pull your mask down. And I had some woman come clear across the dream to scream in my face about not having my mask on. And I looked at her and I was like, but you're within my 6 foot, like, you are infringing on, like,
Wow.
I literally looked at her and I said some choice words and
Sure.
hit her with the eyes.
Yeah.
And then that was like every time I saw her since, like, during that whole thing. And I still see this woman to this day. Like, I'm just like, I'm not going to forget how you acted that one
No.
time. Like, we are at that point, we did know. Gyms
Yeah.
were back open.
Yes,
Things,
exactly.
like Home Depot was open, but, you know, Finkel's Hardware and like, that wasn't open. So it was kind of like, I bought in very quickly that I'm like, damn, like, you know, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And this has now gotten out of hand.
Yeah, it was totally out of
Yes.
hand. And I mean, we were open for business online, so we were working with kids online. So it wasn't like our business was completely shut down. But
Yeah.
it was such chaos for parents, right? They're trying to deal with
They're trying to work.
right, trying to work, trying to deal with their kids being in online school, and online school was generally not so good. And here we were, another online thing for their kid to do in terms of learning. And even if ours was significantly better than the experience that they were getting in school, because ours was individualized, it wasn't like teaching to a class, there was still a lot of hesitation and a lot of people that didn't want more screen time for their kids. And it was like they were just kicking the can down the road. We know that our child is going to have a problem in math because of this, but we're not ready to deal with it now.
Yeah, I caught some flack pretty early on the Instagram stories for saying that. I think it was like week 2 of the shutdown. I said, hey, you better find the person in your neighborhood that's good at math and team up with them and like teach your kids history and then like swap.
Yeah.
Because all your kids are going to have real problems. And I had
Yeah.
people jumping down my
Bingo.
throat. It's like, you don't have kids. And I'm like, yeah, but I have a brain.
Yeah,
you
common
can
sense.
You,
Like,
you
it's
can
just
still
common sense.
reason through
Oh my
that.
gosh.
I learned a lot through that
God.
period of time that it's just not necessarily worth speaking up.
Yeah.
But there's also a fine line, because like if you don't speak up, then you get steamrolled. But if you do speak up, you do get steamrolled. But at least you like maybe you changed anything. So I kind of
So
just focused
true.
on it taught me to focus on myself,
Well,
which was ultimately really great for me, because I personally had probably one of the best years we might ever have in
Right.
business.
Right.
Was your biggest obstacle more so like the teacher participation, like your staff participating, versus like the students participating? Like, could you not get people to run the program?
Yeah, so that is a chicken or the egg issue. I mean, when we were about to reopen our learning centers for in-person learning, that was right at the beginning of that whole great resignation period that a lot of businesses experienced. And we lost 60% of our instruction staff in New York in about a 4-week period. Just people just leaving. And I think a lot of that had to do with they didn't want to come back in person. So people were like, well, I'll go find some other remote job that I can do during that, at this point. And then we also had some pushback at the management level as well from some people. So
They wanted They wanted hazard pay.
Hazard pay. I mean, it was like, it was crazy.
Yeah,
and,
we're not at war here.
And
we're losing. We're
and meanwhile,
hemorrhaging money.
meanwhile,
They
our
wanted
revenue
hazard
our
pay.
revenue was down, probably about 50% at that point compared to pre-COVID. And yes, we were getting PPP and
but if that money,
ERTC,
if that money was being used correctly, that money was coming in and going right back out.
Exactly. That's exactly right. It wasn't coming to us. It was going to our employees for their wages, salaries and wages. It was going to our landlords. It was going to pay our bills to stay alive. That's what it was.
So you guys were at Corona. You were 6 locations. You had to shut down 2.
We were actually we were 8 total at the time.
Okay, so those
we had
ones,
7 in New York and the 1 out here.
Okay, so the ones you shut down, that was it.
Yeah, there were
They weren't doing great anyway.
Yeah.
They were second floor locations. One was Midtown East and one was West 72nd.
So it was like a second location on the Upper West Side and a sort of a second location on the Upper East Side. And there just wasn't enough density of families in a walking distance for those locations to be successful. So
are most of your locations inside like office settings? Or
No,
is it
no,
more
retail
so, like,
space.
on storefront?
Yeah. Storefront retail.
So-
Except for those 2 we closed, or second floor. And
They were
kind of
second floor retail, which
retail.
a lot of learning centers in New
Who
York
can
do
jump
that.
up that high?
Yeah, right. No, that's not uncommon for learning centers in New York City.
That's why
because-
I was asking.
yeah.
Like, were you guys? What kind of location did you have?
Yeah, for those. So, but
expensive retail spaces,
yeah,
basically.
yeah, and
like our West Side one is very visible. It's on Amsterdam Ave between 84th and 85th.
yeah, it's very, very visible.
Really?
I'll nod and be like, mm.
Yeah,
Oh, Amsterdam. Yeah.
I know that spot. I've been there.
Yes, New York City.
Yes.
I don't know Philly at all.
Yeah. I used to hang out in New York City a lot, but it was always like just like getting up there in the middle of the night to go to like a club or something like that, and it's just like, where
Not
are
paying
we?
attention to where you are.
Where are we right now?
Yeah.
There was maybe a time that we reported a car stolen just to find it.
That's funny.
You'd be like, oh, where'd we park? We're gonna grab breakfast and just report this car stolen.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
How funny.
Oh, your point about how we are the government. I saw this video of De Blasio. Do you remember De Blasio?
Yeah,
The mayor.
of
Oh
New
my
York?
God.
He was eating
The burger and French fries.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
and
know
be like,
that?
you could have this.
Yeah.
Yeah, all you need to
All you
get
need
is
is your
your vaccine. You
vaccination.
could have these fries. They're
Yeah.
delicious.
What the hell?
These fries are delicious. Like
Yeah.
I am not that. I
Yeah.
am not
No,
that
not that
government.
One of
government either.
shout out to Service Events,
Oh,
our
that was
sponsor
nuts.
for this month. They sent me that video today, and and Steve was like, "Don't ever forget." And I was like, "I won't, buddy."
Yeah.
I like Steve. I
Yeah.
like Steve.
I think I want to meet Steve.
Yeah, you guys would like
I,
that.
Yeah,
he's
actually,
a
you
private
guys-
chef.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
twin brothers. They own Service Events, Nick and Steve Service.
That's like our dream to have a private chef.
They cook at your
they,
house.
They come.
We
they-
need a lot more students.
They clean everything.
It's actually it's not like an all the time chef kind of a thing.
That's
Right,
okay.
right.
That's
It's like
okay.
a special. Ariel and I used to have them come over like once a month.
Yeah.
Especially during that time period, because we loved eating out. And then when we lived in Philly, we would go out all the time. And then when we moved back to Bucks County, it was going out all the time. You know, she didn't live here, so I
Right.
could take her all the places. And then I met them, I think through the podcast actually. And then I was like, wait, I'm gonna have you guys come over and just cook this food. I don't have to leave.
This is a good
Sign
deal.
me up. Yeah. And it costs a few bucks, but when you add up, like, you know, especially if you have kids,
We have 2 kids.
you know what I'm saying? Like, if
Yeah.
you want to have like a classy meal, like you put the kids to bed, they come over, they take care of everything for you.
Oh my God.
There's no dishes, and
I
they're
love
like
this.
premium chefs. Like they bring it.
Wow.
So it's kind of like by the time you go out to a nice meal, like the Salt House or the Logan Inn or something,
Right,
you're,
right.
you're spending that money anyway.
Yeah.
You paid for a babysitter, right? You're driving there.
Right.
You might get in a fight on the way back. You don't know. Like, you guys seem pretty good, but I'm
We're
speaking
pretty chill.
figuratively.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, there's some fighters out there.
Yeah.
So like just like
I'm a lover.
avoid it all and just have them come over.
I love
you know,
this.
Or especially, you know, I've bought their service for customers.
Oh, that's
When we're
brilliant.
done there, we just build a beautiful kitchen. We're like, want to send these guys.
That's
over?
brilliant.
That is
I'm gonna
so
send them in.
classy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I've had customers be like, wow, that was amazing, and then I have customers like, yep, thanks. I'm like,
People
wait
are
a minute.
weird.
So these dudes came over that are completely tattooed. One of them has dreadlocks. They have wild conversations with you, and all I got was that was cool.
That's cool. Thanks.
I'm like, you're full of shit.
Yeah, right. That shit was the best night of your life.
You're full, I'm gonna come straighten you out.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You guys actually, the vibe you put off, like you guys would enjoy them.
Cool.
We'll make the connection.
Yeah, let's do that.
So
that'd
you
be
guys open. What year did you open the Doylestown one?
That was 2015.
And you guys opened it, or did you purchase?
No, we opened it,
Opened
and
it
and
in
with
Peddlers. So we were living in New York City, and I was like, I got to get back to this area. It's New York City stressing me out.
Are you
And
from here?
No,
Okay.
I went to college around here.
Would you go to college around here?
well, close enough.
TCNJ. Well, it's not that close.
TCNJ.
But TCNJ.
Oh, my
Yeah.
girlfriend's going there right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, for what? What is she studying?
She's studying astrophysics.
What?
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's smart as
That's
shit.
amazing.
What a nerd.
Yeah, what a nerd,
Me
loser.
and her too.
Yeah.
We love nerds. That's
Holy
cool.
cow.
Oh man, you guys love her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're total dorks.
We're
nerds.
nerds.
There's
Yeah.
a difference between dorks and nerds, I was told.
Well,
and
what's a-
geeks.
Nerds are cooler. Is that the thing? Or no?
Yeah, a dork is just like, I'm pretty sure a dork is a dolphin's penis.
Oh.
A whale, walrus.
Walrus?
Yeah, so it's actually like a biological, like, it's more
So
rooted
you
in an
call
insult.
somebody a dork? That's not
It's
so
an
nice.
insult, but
Yeah.
a nerd, you're like, I'm
Right.
a nerd.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
Okay.
Yeah.
I think geek is the one that you want to be called. Besides
I don't want to be a
dork
geek.
and
I'll take nerd.
you gotta
Nerds.
be a nerd.
I'd rather be a nerd.
Nerd, I think, is more like Steve Urkel, like pocket protector.
Yeah, but Urkel, like when he took his glasses off,
He
he
was
was that
super
other.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember what his
Oh,
name was.
Yeah.
you want to be other Urkel.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he had like
Yeah.
another name though. That he was
Yeah.
like, all the ladies were like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can
my
him.
God, who's that?"
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
dude, I don't want to ever wear glasses.
That's funny. Yeah. So
TCNJ.
yeah.
Nice.
2015.
Yes.
You guys. So how did you find like Peddler's Village is obviously
Oh,
it's a spot.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
place.
Where we were positioned
wait,
in
hang on.
Peddlers. Sorry,
Wait,
go
rewind,
ahead.
Rewind.
Yes.
So we got stuck on astrophysics. So I hung out in this area when I went to college, and I was like, "Oh, this is so nice out here." I remember how nice it felt just to be in like the New Hope area.
I
and
picture
it's
like
just
young
cool.
Tammy like going to wineries and like girls' day.
Not exactly.
Okay.
I don't
Coffee
drink
shops.
alcohol.
Oh, all right.
Oh, okay,
Cheers.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
Coffee shops.
I
though.
mean, for a couple reasons we don't have to get into, I guess. But my grandfather was an alcoholic, and I was like, I don't want any part of that.
Mm.
And also, like, I respect my brain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I kind of love my
There's
brain.
something about that alcohol and poison and
Yeah.
like everything else being illegal, but this is good to go.
Yeah.
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 Maybe another podcast, but
Yeah. Yeah. We can.
let's try not to be nerds right now.
So I studied math at TCNJ. Math education, because I knew I wanted to be a teacher. And I guess we got to a point
Well, we
where
had
we're-
finished the curriculum project, so we had this.
Oh,
Okay,
alright.
that's where we were at.
3.5 year long project of re-engineering the Mathnaisum curriculum. And
Okay.
it was incredible. It was a life's work. It was also painful, and it was not always a friendly relationship with some of the people at Mathnasium corporate. So
They didn't
Whenever you're doing something like creative like that,
yes,
no matter what you're doing, I've always noticed you got to rub elbows with somebody.
yeah,
There's somebody that's like, I don't think this is creative. Like,
Oh, I know.
you want to start a podcast?
Oh, totally. It's
Like-
the creatives versus the money people.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, and
no.
and
There's no quadrant for that.
no.
Oh, it's a frustrating place to be when you're creative and you're trying to get money from the money people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why the actors are on strike right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
But-
SAG-AFTRA.
and we knew that we were doing revolutionary work. I mean, we knew it. And
So that's got to be your calling then. Like, you know, you're gonna make a difference.
yes.
So I'm gonna shed some blood here and
Yeah.
fight.
I mean, it got to the point
Got
where I won't go into all the details, but we were supposed to get certain resources and things from them, and we didn't get it. They just couldn't deliver. And so it all fell back on us. and
meaning people to help us write.
we were,
when you
people
say
they were
resources.
Human capital.
Yes, human capital. They were supposed to do a lot of the formatting. They were supposed to do a lot of the problem selection. And every time we got that back from them, we had to rip it up and start over. So I became the master formatter of all the materials. So I was doing all the page layout, graphic design, which I had no experience doing, but I learned because I had to. And Tammy did. So we were supposed to just do the conceptual design, and then they were supposed to do the rest.
So you guys were supposed to create the curriculum, hand it off to the graphic designer, and say, make it look like this.
Yes.
Put it on page 47 and
Yep.
make it look like this.
Exactly. And then there were supposed to have other curriculum writers who were going to do all the problem selection, like select the numbers, write the word problems, but we were going to create the conceptual structures for all of it. We didn't get that at a high level, so we took that over. And so something that was supposed to take maybe a year ended up taking 3+ years.
It would be like writing Harry Potter and then also doing the illustrations.
Yes.
Instead of hiring an illustrator.
Yeah.
So they just didn't provide you with you guys were putting so much energy into creating this like world-changing curriculum.
Correct.
And the visual side of things wasn't meeting the level of effort or expectation that you were putting
They
on.
just didn't have it. That's what it came down
And
to.
they wanted it done way faster than was humanly possible to get it done.
But it got to the point where they were putting so much pressure on us, and they said to us, well, we really can't pay for this anymore, so we're just going to take it over from here. And like we were about 2/3 of the way through it, and we were like, no. We said, you don't want to pay us? Fine. We're paid up. We're going to keep going. And we went for another 16 months because it was never about the money. It was about what we were going to deliver to our students. That's what we cared about. And we knew that the only way we get these life-changing revolutionary materials in front of our students is if we do it. So we did it.
Was there ever a time that, and maybe there were some contracts or something preventing this? Was there ever a time where you were just like, I'm going to nuke the Mathnaisum name and
There were contracts that wouldn't allow for that.
Non-competes, yeah.
Yeah, and we were so deep into it at that point that like to start over, it would have been so much work. And here we are. We've got leases. We've got franchise agreements. We've got employees. Like
that shows maturity too, because I probably would have caused I probably would have chose the opposite way and then caused myself a whole bunch of frustration. Or at least younger me would have done that. I would have been like, you don't want to play with me? Fine.
Yeah.
I'll build my own sandbox.
Yeah.
I mean, millions of dollars later, I'd be like, this wasn't a good idea.
This was not good. Eventually, we made amends with all the parties involved.
No, that's good.
Which was great. But it was, we got done with that project and we picked our heads up and we were like, at the time we had 3 locations and we were like, okay, we got to do more with this now that we have this, and we need to live more because we were overseeing the operations of our business, right? Our multi-unit Mathnasium business. And we had this full-time job of writing the curriculum. So you talk about the importance of having systems that, repeatable, reliable systems and great people. The only way we could have done that was if we had those things, right? Which we did, thankfully. But still, it took oversight. It still took time. I was kind of dealing with most of the oversight of the operations and still had to be working in the business more so than maybe I would have liked to. Plus, we had this full-time job of writing, over 2,000 pages of curriculum. So it was...
That's why I don't ever understand how people write textbooks.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I just bought this textbook last year. How the hell did you come up with a new one?
Yeah.
I know for a fact this is the same shit in a new cover, and you added a few pages. Because when you write a whole new curriculum, because I've written business curriculum in the sense of systems.
Yep.
I'm like, wow, you set your expectations like, all right, this is our 5-year, 3-year, 1 year. In order to meet these 1-year goals, we have to, cross off these challenges, monthly, weekly, quarterly. And it's like you get into a quarter and you're like, holy shit, we're not going to meet our deadline here because this one process involves so many different, people or like just writing processes on like how sales are done and like how the money changes hands and how the money's managed. Like if you're not doing that in your business, like I can argue you're just kind of doing things. Like you're just you're going into work each day and you have a job you're calling a business.
Right. Yeah, you own a job.
You're winging it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's totally relying on you.
Yeah. So you guys got you guys already had the location, you finished the curriculum, and then you're like, we got to do more in terms of like, now we have,
we have this thing that now we've got the goods.
Yeah, so we got to get it out.
We got to spread the word.
The whole point was we wanted to be able to scale, right? We wanted to be able to have more locations. So at that point, didn't we buy the 2 Brooklyn centers?
No, not yet.
No.
No.
What happened
No.
next?
So at that point,
Come on, Tammy.
Oh.
I'm better at the timeline stuff with that.
Yes.
Yeah. So at that point, we decided that we wanted to go reconnect with this area. Oh, part of it was because here's how it happened. It's funny. So we were working with a business coach who we still work with on occasion. He's phenomenal, and I love him. And our first piece of homework from him was to identify our personal values, passions, and purpose. And I'm a musician, and I spent time, trying to make it in that world. And then when we started the Mathnasium business and we had our kids, I completely shut it off. It was right. And what kept coming up for me in my writing was that I needed to reconnect in performing and in music. And I had done some musical theater also, as well as being in rock bands and all of that.
What instrument do you play?
I'm a drummer and a singer primarily. Also play guitar, a little bit of piano. So, but I play.
So he's a musician.
Yeah. So I play in a band now where I'm the drummer and the lead singer. So it's
Damn, you got some pipes on you.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, you definitely don't smoke.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
No hookah for our friend.
No, definitely not. Yeah, and anyway.
CBD will do.
Yes, CBD would be fine.
Nice.
So we're in a coffee shop, both of us, and we're writing independently for ourselves. And she went into the bathroom, and while she's in the bathroom, I get this random text message from a producer musical producer that I had worked with on a show 10 years prior to that. I played Judas in Jesus Christ Superstar.
Okay.
And
You can see that, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm
see
saying.
it.
That's why I was going to be like, what instrument do you play?
Yeah.
The harp.
No, definitely not the harp.
Mandolin.
That would be fun, but so she reaches out to me and she's like, hey, I'm producing Superstar again, and it was for the same company. She's like, I have a Judas, but I need a Simon, and Simon has it's like one big rock song, and that's pretty much all that Simon does in the show. She's like, I need you for 2 scenes.
Yeah.
If you're up for it, would love to have you. And I was like, okay, I'm writing about how I need to find ways to get back into this. And here is this opportunity that just suddenly, I put it out into the universe, and there it showed up. And Tammy came out of the bathroom and I was like, I got to show you this. and she's like, you got to do this.
You also had just gone through a health crisis.
I did. I had gone through a health crisis. I forgot about that part.
Right. So this was kind of like a way of healing for you to get back to the music.
Yes. And so
Health crisis, like you cut your hair?
No, definitely that's not happening.
I wish that's all it was.
No, it was.
So we'll just leave it as crisis.
Yeah, that's also for I'm perfectly fine being open about it, but it was I found in a very traumatic way that I had developed a very rare endocrine condition.
Okay.
Yeah, that now and I had to get rushed to the hospital, and I could have gone into cardiac arrest, and it was
there's people listening right now that are Googling endocrine.
Yeah, right.
So
if they want to know what it is, it's called hypoparathyroidism.
Okay.
So, but anyway, thankfully, many years later, I'm kind of healed from it.
Okay.
Mostly through our own doing. Rather than just trusting the medical establishment.
Damn, we're gonna have multiple other podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
yes.
when you talk about fascinating. This is incredibly fascinating.
No, I'm just gonna curtail my.
We should talk
bring
about that.
Ariel on for that.
Yes,
because it's all the
that's what
solution has to do with the mouth. Actually.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, Ariel would have to be there for that.
Yes,
there's interesting thyroid facts there that.
And this is the parathyroid, which are the tiny little glands that are near. That's what it means. Para meaning near your thyroid. So that has nothing to do with thyroid function. Parathyroids regulate the calcium and phosphorus in your blood.
So they're like the nodes next to your.
They're these tiny little things.
Yeah,
glands.
they just connect across their throat like this.
Yeah. And mine stopped working.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah. They work again,
Oh, okay.
which like apparently doesn't normally happen.
Yeah, because I mean, we're not going to go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah,
but I was
yeah.
going to say people get on a whole bunch of pharmaceutical drugs, and then they're like on the drugs for life,
Yes.
and then everything, your body forgets how to work, and
Yep.
then your drugs are telling you how your body work,
Yep.
and then you die,
Yes.
unfortunate age.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so that's awesome.
yeah, it's amazing.
That you got through it.
I
Not
got
that-
through
yeah.
it. I mean, it was not good, but I got through it.
So what year is this?
This is
the coffee shop.
This
year?
is 2015.
Okay, so 2015, you finished the curriculum.
Yeah, and then I do this show. So I went and I did this show, and
So you got to be Simon.
so I got to be Simon, and I
Alright.
got to rock it out, and it was awesome. And from that, I've continued through that show. I made other relationships that led me to continue playing music and continue being performing both on stage and musicals, and then in bands. And like the lead guitarist in my band now, I met through a connection through that show. If I had not done that show, we don't ever meet. Most likely.
Isn't that crazy how
Yeah.
life works? Like literally, the location we're recording in is just like a series of misfortunate events that we capitalized on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So people are like, "Are you upset about such and such?" And I'm like, "Oddly, no."
Right, no.
It's like this weird, like I should be.
Well, you can be
but it's
right.
like
There's
whatever.
new opportunities that come, right? That does
Yeah,
happen.
when you come out on top.
Yeah.
In a negative situation, it's kind of like it's hard if you're healthy at least. Like it's hard to harbor that energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, while I was at rehearsals and in Tech Week for all that and shows, Tammy was thinking back to her own artistic history, and Tammy had pursued an acting career, and during college and after college, she did some community theater in Lower Bucks.
Okay.
You guys might know. Do you know Actors Net of Bucks County? It's right on the river.
No.
You don't?
Actors
Didn't
Net?
You used to live in Yardley?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, is it
There we
near
go.
Mooresville?
Yes.
Like Lower Macon?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Morrisville.
It's in.
Okay.
It looks like a little renovated garage
Yeah.
just right on the river. That's where I did theater.
Oh,
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
see, it exists. It's a real thing.
Yeah. see that?
Yeah, I drive
so
by
I
it all the
make
time.
up.
Yeah.
Do you know Jamie Bradley?
I mean, I know
He's
some.
a contractor.
He's
and
a
he liked
carpenter.
one of your posts, so I was like, oh my goodness, there might be a connection.
What's
there.
his company called?
I don't
Jamie
think.
Bradley Construction.
Yeah, I mean he's
Something. Yeah,
he's
I
a
don't-
carpenter,
I don't
so
know
I
if
don't
he
think
has
he
a
has a
Jamie.
company.
company.
I don't know. I've gotten really good at remembering people's names.
Yeah.
But it's still
Oh,
when
it's
you're
so
kind of
hard.
like
If you ever see a guy
involved-
playing Henry Mercer
Yeah, he plays Henry Mercer for the
for
castle
like for
too.
the yeah for
Oh, wow.
yeah
He'd
I kind of want to like do a small theater now.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
should
yeah,
do that.
yeah.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
happened was while I was doing all of that, Tammy was thinking back to her experiences and doing that, and she started to kind of reconnect through social media with some of her friends that she had disconnected from during that period of time. And
Got
she
the
was-
troop back together.
Yeah, and she was like, "Wouldn't it be cool to like
Yeah.
spend?" And she was like, "This area is beautiful, and it's so different than New York City. Why don't we like spend some time out here?" And then we knew ourselves so well that we were like, "Well, the only way we're actually going to spend time out here is if we open a Mathnasium Center."
we gotta monetize
And,
it.
right. Well, and we had this. We had
This
the
is my
goods.
brainchild. I was like, the only way this is going to work is if I convince you we're going to open a business out there.
Yeah.
That's the only way we're going to be able to like actually take trips. And then we rented a little farmhouse on Quarry Road.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
we were.
old.
It was
It's like
at the time.
1700s
Yeah, at the time
farmhouse.
it was a bed and breakfast, and we rented like a couple rooms ongoing just for us on a monthly basis, so we could come and go as we needed to, and so we opened. We
It was
came out
awesome
here.
and horrifying.
It was
at the same
all
time.
at the same time.
There were
yes.
like bats and mice and mold.
yeah,
What are you talking about? New York City has
Smoke.
like dog-sized rats.
yeah, but
They,
not.
like, you're like, is that a raccoon? No,
yeah, no,
that's a rat.
It's
Yeah.
a rat.
I saw some the other day. You're so right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like if I ever had to survive in New York City, I would just bring a bow and arrow. Like
Shoot 'em down.
there's nobody starving out there if they want to eat.
Yeah.
You just set up a grill.
Yeah, get some rat meat.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
And
hilarious.
like if you get some like grass-fed rats,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
real lean
Yeah,
guys.
just go into the park. That's
Yeah.
totally you go into Central Park and get all the rats you want there.
Yeah, you just like when you have a rat like stand up and like throw his traps out. on you,
yeah.
You're like
That's the rat you want. Yep.
that guy. Yeah, shotgun.
Yeah, there it is.
Dead rat.
Yeah, brilliant.
Right.
So we decided at kind of on a whim, we came out, like we didn't have a car at the time, and we got I don't know if you know what zip car is, but it's like,
Zipcar Ariel, like when we moved out to the suburbs, like I had to get her a car. And
Right.
like at first I was like, do you know how to drive? I'm about to get this car. We're about to get this car right here. Why don't we start with a CRV in case you wreck it?
right. Yeah.
Oh, you guys did have a CRV.
Yeah, that car sucked. And the only reason was because I was like, damn, I don't know I trust you with this.
Yeah.
She'd only ever had zip car. She's like, oh, if I need a car, I just get a zip car.
Yeah.
I'm like, please.
Yeah. So we were at brunch one day, and then like we were looking at places out here, and on a whim we were just like, why don't we just like her mom, Tammy's mom, was at our apartment watching the kids, and so we're like,
We saw it was a Buckingham Green listing. Do you know Buckingham Green? Yeah, we're like,
yeah, we're like,
this
that
is
shopping
cute.
center looks
Maybe
nice.
We should go see it.
Yeah, I know the owners of the Buckingham Green Shopping Center, yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
I used to have my office right behind there.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. So on a whim, we just like got a zip car and drove out here.
Out to see Buckingham Green.
Yeah, just just because
That's
like
hilarious.
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
That place is your location now is top notch.
Yeah.
compared
Yeah.
to Buckingham Green.
Yes.
No offense.
No, it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
We're thrilled with it. So, and then that night we actually went to see a show at ActorsNet. So like we got there for like the Act 2 of the show.
The full tour of Upper and Lower
Yes.
Bucks County.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the beginning of it. And then we
Then I got cast in a show there. It was
Yeah.
a Western.
Well,
They saw you
fun.
like the star in the crowd, and they were like, "Come."
well, she still knew
Please
everybody.
come
so
back.
Okay, you're
Yeah.
still connected.
yeah.
Okay, so
but-
in 2015,
So we decided to
how old
open
are,
that.
How old are your kids?
5 and like 2. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
little. So we
So
decided.
So you guys are
going on.
balancing a lot.
Yes.
No wonder why we got so sick. I
Yeah.
got sick too.
Yeah, she was a mess.
Like his thing stressed me out so much that I like my cup runneth over and I realized that I had a whole bunch of crap going on in my body that I couldn't suppress
Yeah.
anymore, like Lyme and like SIBO, which sucks, which is small.
Wait, you had
intestine
Lyme
bacteria.
disease?
Yeah, which I think I got from a tick when we came out visiting
Yes.
here.
Oh,
Oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those
rough.
buggers, dude.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
mess.
it was rough.
it was-
So how do you guys like, not to get too personal?
Yeah.
How do you guys in like a relationship with that much stress with kids living in New York City? You don't have a fucking car.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how do you guys communicate to each other successfully to like come off the way you do right now? Like, you guys come off as like, you guys actually, dare I say, like each other. You know, like it's very rare.
therapy.
Yeah, a lot of therapy. Yeah.
I'm still in therapy, and I think I'll be forever because I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And you were in
I
therapy
was for a very long time.
while, so that's number one.
So
Yeah.
individual therapy. Did you guys
Individual.
do any like couples therapy to communicate?
Not
with each
very
other? It was-
meaningful.
Not
Wasn't
really.
very good. The
Yeah.
couples
We
therapy
did
that
like
we got.
once or twice.
Yeah.
But we have gone through hard times.
Very hard times.
And learned a lot, and really learned that we need to do our individual work
Yeah.
and process some childhood stuff that
Yeah.
was getting in our way. So I've
Yeah.
been doing that. And
Can I ask like how old you guys are?
How old
how
do you
old
think we are? Let's go there
Well,
first.
like
You're gonna do the math.
I should have asked like, oh, when'd you graduate college? And asked that question and done that math. I don't know. Like you both look very like, especially with the endocrine situation. Like you
Yeah.
both look like, damn, you could be in your late. I'm 35.
Okay.
And you guys look to be the same age as me, but you have now a 2015. We're 8 years later, so you've got a 13-year-old.
Yes.
Don't use math. Don't use the math. Try not to use the math. Just go by. You think 35, 36.
I don't know, like maybe early 40s. Like if like I want to be honest
Yeah.
about it, but like you don't look that old.
That's a-
and like you
that's
guys
a
are
great
you
guess.
guys like the way you communicate is like very like you're definitely not like you show experience in what you're doing and
Sure.
like the way you're thinking. So I'm like, what the what's going on?
Can't get a
here?
read
What
on
is
it.
this? What is this?
Well, who do you think's older?
damn.
That's
I think you're
that's
older.
a fucking dangerous question.
Yeah, I think you're
You're
older.
looking at me like
It's okay.
yeah,
I know I
who's
look younger
older?
than I am.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're not going to insult me.
I mean, I guess he's younger.
He's younger.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I thought he was
Not by
older.
not
He's
by
younger
much.
by like a little bit.
So
Yeah.
how old are we?
We're both
We're 44.
44.
Okay.
44. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
I was going to say late 30s. But
Yeah.
Yeah, so
44.
in between the setup of Mathnasium, they discovered the elixir of life.
Yeah, what the hell are they doing? Maybe therapy's the key.
And he's just like, we eat rats.
It's the New York City rats that did it for sure.
You got
The
to get
grass-fed ones.
Central Park rats.
the closer to the subway, the better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's why. Because we had these two big like health crises, and we had to learn how to treat our bodies way better.
Yeah.
And we did, and we got really into functional medicine and health and wellness world, and lots of podcasts and biohacking and like all the stuff your wife loves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a human experiment.
Right. Well, and also feeding our souls with the right medicine, right? Not just on the
Newcom.
Right.
Newcom helps too.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
Meditation.
Yeah,
you should
Newcom,
say.
yeah, shout
Yeah.
out. You guys can sponsor us.
Yeah,
We'll be in
shout out.
contact.
yes.
It is
Yeah, they're fantastic. I mean, also we have a very, very long history together because we started dating when we were 14. So
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
yeah, so
Couple ninth grade sweethearts here.
yeah,
Damn.
yeah. I mean, it was not easy straight shot to marriage. We were together
Well,
all
thank
through high
goodness.
school.
If it was,
Oh,
then
yeah.
we would not be communicating
Oh, no.
as well as we do
exactly.
now.
I
you
don't.
know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't say that with any. I'm not looking down on us for it. It was
Yeah.
just our reality, and
Yeah, you could do like the entrepreneurial thing and just paint a false picture. So then you need to get a bunch of people entering relationships.
Yeah,
at
yeah.
Be like, we got to be successful. You got to find someone at 14.
yeah, no. I mean, it was very challenging to go from that childhood relationship to an adult relationship. There were a lot of challenges.
Well,
along the way.
they say, throughout like your teenage, college, and then post college, like typically you have like 3, deaths and rebirths in terms of like your relationship. So like the person you date in high school shouldn't be the person you date in college, and then the person you date in college shouldn't be the person you marry, because you as an individual need this is psychology here.
Yeah.
I'm not a psychologist, but you are changing. And like in order for you to develop into the individual that you need to be, you need to like let go of certain relationships. So when I meet people that are like, you guys went through those deaths and rebirths,
Yes.
but navigated them with each other.
Yes.
Which it says a lot about you guys. So like where you started as like you were supportive.
Yeah.
Whereas like I was in a relationship before Ariel that was great for a period, and then like I wanted to be something and like be the type of man that I wanted to be. Like I wasn't able to be that because I was always looked at as, the child version of me or the teenage version of me. So I'm like, no, I'm going to be the guy that opens the car door for you. And it's like, what are you doing? And then I'd be like, well, I'm being,
That's the kind of man
I
you
want
want
to be this kind of man. And it's just like, you're not going to make me feel weird for trying to be better.
Yeah.
So when I met Ariel, like we obviously haven't been together as long as you guys have.
Right.
Most people haven't.
Right.
It was very difficult on her end to communicate with me in the beginning because I was pretty much a fucking caveman. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, why are you yelling at me? Go away. Like, and then I realized
funny.
it was actually like my own inconsistencies as a person, like, and developing that. Like I wouldn't be successful the way I am today without having met Ariel. She was a catalyst for like I was already like, struggling my way through, self-development, but it's like having someone to like bounce that off of,
Oh, sure.
is critical. So like when I see you guys like communicating and like he's taking the mic and then you're just like, he's better at timelines.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, it's just like you see this like humbleness about your, both sides of your relationships, which, I appreciate.
That's really perceptive that you would notice something like
He
that.
has that as well with his relationship.
Yeah, so I realize
Yeah.
it as well. I feel like you guys do really well with conflict, and it's what I'm picking up from you guys, because you guys seem very calm and centered.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how I am with my girlfriend. We talk things out. We never argue. So and we've only been together for 6 years. So
Right,
it's
right.
like, it's cool seeing how long you guys been together. When
Yeah.
you said 30 years, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes complete sense.
Well, I'd say like you don't like you need to argue in a relationship, but it's
Yeah.
like
Right.
constructive.
Exactly. Yeah,
Constructive. Like
Well, and how do you
need-
do it in a way that is still respectful to the
you
other
need to cha-
person?
you need to challenge, like especially like you've seen it in previous businesses that I've been a part of. Like if you don't have respectful battle, like your business fails at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So like when you get into battle and like everybody's being real nasty or like not constructive, you're like, and then you work through it, but you're always like, now you said something about like I did something good.
Yeah.
But I don't believe you because you brought up that thing in that one fight, and you were very adamant that I was not good.
Yeah.
So it's like it's giving people
Broken trust.
Yeah, that broken
Yeah.
trust that's like very difficult to maintain in romantic relationships as well as like friendships. Like Gilmar and I have a very good friendship because like I can come in like a fucking Tasmanian devil and just be like a complete asshole for 5 minutes, and Gilmar's like, yeah. And then I calm down and he's like, yes. I don't think you should do that. And I'm like, you're right.
See, that's something that I had to learn because Tammy is very fiery, and there will be times where she just gets like, not at me, but she could get enraged about something, and she'll go off and says
You're
all this.
Capricorn.
Oh Jesus! Don't
Jesus
start.
Christ.
Jesus.
How'd you know that?
Yeah.
I talked to Ariel.
Yeah.
But you and I both have cardinal energy. I won't get into that.
Yeah.
I won't.
Yeah.
I actually have like my star chart pulled up. Ariel sent it to me. I'm like, what the is this? And she's like, you got to be ready for Tammy.
She wants us to talk about it. Maybe another time.
Yeah.
We could.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I don't wanna
getting
dominate.
back,
So-
2015, you guys came
sure.
down here, or what were you guys?
He was
No,
saying something
what
else.
I was going to say is that I had to learn to just give her the space to rant and say what she needs to say without trying to step in and like bring my calming earth to her, and like just let her get it out. And eventually she comes around to like, okay, the thing that she's wanting to do in the heat of the moment is not most likely what's going to happen, but she just needs that space to express it. And so I'm the one that's just there like, yeah, yeah, that's awful. And like, yeah, I get it.
And what is your old default?
My old default is I've got to squash it. I've got to get her to reality because what she's talking about is not in reality. So I've got to calm things down. I've got to like get her thinking logically, not from this emotional place. And that causes friction in our
hang on.
relationship.
And why do you jump to solve it like that?
Well, because it makes me feel better. That's
Yeah.
why.
Because it makes you uncomfortable
Yeah,
for me to be in that space.
It did make me uncomfortable.
So like his strategy would be to come in and try to fix it, right?
Yes.
Try to fix that problem.
Yes, because I'm an ultimate problem solver.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Right.
hey, I'm going to come in and solve this so that I don't have to feel this tension.
And I'm not wanting you to fix it. I'm just
No.
wanting you to like hold the space
Yeah.
for me and let me emote and let me come to my own conclusion that yes. we're not going to go beat up the CEO of.
Yeah.
Right.
some company that sounds like Gymnasium,
Exactly.
but definitely not Mathnaisum.
Definitely not.
No, we'll reach out to our legal team later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you guys, kind of bumbling around in Bucks County as a lot of New Yorkers do.
Yeah.
You guys came down and you're like, all right, we're gonna
open a center here.
Open a center here.
Yeah, so we did, and then at the same time, we were opening that second location on the Upper West Side that we eventually closed during COVID. Then we made the, at the time for me, painful decision to move out here. At the time, it was painful because I felt like I had just envisioned that we were going to be like lifetime New Yorkers, and
We can't drum in Bucks County.
yeah. No, that was just, I just had this vision of what life would be, and we were so physically and emotionally spent. We just couldn't. We needed a change, and so we made the, like I said at the time, painful decision to move out here. But before we did that, we opened another Mathnaisium location in Manhattan. That was the other one that we ended up closing. That was technically called Midtown East, but it was really on the lower part of the Upper East Side. Because I know New York so well.
yes.
So that place.
I've seen Godzilla and I
Yes.
Am Legend.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you need to know. And Seinfeld.
Yeah,
So-
Frank Lucas, yes.
So we moved out here in March of 2017, and we were total Cityots, man. Like we
Cityots.
yeah.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I like that.
We were total cityots. It was really funny. I mean, we both grew up in the suburbs. We grew up in Toms River, New Jersey, so it wasn't like. But we had lived in New York for so long that it was like we weren't used to suburban life.
You're like, is that a squirrel?
Yeah, and like suddenly we're just like thrown into suburban life, and like we didn't even have cars, right? Like Tammy had to get her driver's license again because her driver's license had expired for more than 2 years. So she had to. We made an appointment in Williamsport because we couldn't get an appointment out here.
Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Yes, and we needed to. Yeah,
It was like me and a bunch of high school kids.
yeah.
That's like
and
Trap
hunters.
City, Pennsylvania. Out
Yeah,
there.
but that was
Williamsport's no joke.
the earliest like appointment
it was
that we could get because we needed to get her license before we moved out here.
Well, I had a license before. I just let it expire.
Yeah, yeah.
Living in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it shows a lot of responsibility on your part. I would have drove without a license.
Yeah, not worth it. Fuck it.
No,
I would have got pulled over and just been like, "Hi, officer."
yeah. Yeah, no, we couldn't operate that way. No offense, but so we would like drop. It was like, and I remember I had to go on a business trip for a Mathnaisium thing, like a national small group event, 2 days after we moved in.
Oh.
And so it was like, and then I came home, and like I wasn't actually coming to what felt like home. It was just, it just was upending. It was
and
really
like,
tough.
You guys look so young right now, so I keep forgetting that you have kids throughout
Yeah.
this whole period
Yes.
of time that are quite young.
Yes. And keeping in mind that we were both still dealing with health crisis issues too, all at the same time. It was a very traumatic, very difficult time. It was, but when you talk about like, you know, what you notice in us now, I mean, we went through really hard times then, right? Like that type of upheaval, trying to run the business, dealing with health problems. It was really, really challenging.
Yeah, and there's a I'm just gonna say ancient Chinese proverb because like I can't remember the book it's in, but there's something about like there's like a stone in a river that gets like thrown into the river and it's like quite jagged. But then like when you pull it back out of the river later, it's just like this smooth river rock. So you guys are river rocks now.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Confucius say.
And I think I needed support. Like I needed therapy through all of that because it was hard. And I had concussions too. I had 2 concussions within 3 months. One was from a whiplash in a car, and one was just banging my head on a playground, like trying to like climb up a ladder, and like it got hit like this real hard.
Really hard.
Jammed in my neck. And concussions, like I had to go to vision therapy. I had to learn how to like use my eyeballs again, and driving was like super stressful to my nervous system. And I had to get like craniosacral therapy.
And I had no
else?
idea how to support you through all that.
I had
it was
a root
like
canal that went bad.
man.
It was like a ton of stuff all at once.
just piled on.
I had amoebas.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
had
like
parasites
from
in her gut.
sushi, I think. Oh, I shouldn't say that here.
Yeah.
It wasn't from here.
wasn't from here.
No,
It's not
not at
from
all. You
here.
guys never been here.
They don't have that
Yeah,
here.
they've never. Yep, definitely not here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like it was internal chaos. It was
It was
really-
grocery store sushi.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably.
Yes.
Acme sushi.
Yeah.
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 Dang.
No offense
Acme
to
hit you
Acme.
hard,
Yeah.
yeah.
No
But
offense to Acme.
No.
I'm just kidding.
It was hell, but we healed, right? We didn't give up on our relationship through that. I think many people probably would have.
Yeah, that goes without saying. Like what you have now, like we're on this side of the table observing this, beautiful relationship that you guys had, but like or have that it was earned.
Yes.
People think that you just like people say that, probably not as much about Ariel and I the way they probably look at you guys, but like we're getting there.
Yeah.
So like I have people a lot of times saying like your wife's a saint. I'm like, yeah, I know. I know she's a great lady. And they're like people like now I'm starting to come around to my sainthood. And
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
humbly, but it's just kind of like it's nice to like have people like look at us and be like, wow, like how do you guys like do all this? And I'm like, whoo, if you met us in the beginning, you would wonder what's happening. Which one of us is on drugs right now?
Yeah.
Because like when we first met, it was like her nickname was Razor. So if you like, that sweet little Ariel that she literally had an alter ego named Razor because I was eating out 3 meals a day and making great money, and she wasn't. So like when we met, I'm like, we're gonna party. And she'd never partied like that before. So like there was a lot of alcohol involved in things. And I'd be like, we'd be going all like Wednesday through the weekend. And I'd be like, why are you screaming at me? We're just having a good time. And like looking back on that, I'm like, how the hell did we do that?
Right.
And it was just like, I wasn't like capable of communicating on that level.
Sure.
At all. So it's just kind of like, I appreciate like what you guys have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think if we had separated at that time, I would just have to keep working out my own issues with some other asshole.
Yeah. Thanks. I guess I'm an asshole.
We all are, Mark.
I don't take it
we
personally. I'll tell you, that was, I think, the greatest lesson for me through all of that was to just learn to not take anything personally. That I knew that the issues that we were having, it was not that I wasn't contributing to it, right? That was the first thing was, how have I contributed to the state of our relationship? I wasn't just gonna, say I had nothing to do with it. And there were things that I did do to contribute to it and that I could improve on, and that helped tremendously, right?
But having that mindset is such a gift for a partner.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
Like you automatically are thinking, what am I doing to create this dynamic, not just like, oh man, like
No.
she's off her rocker right now.
Yeah, and look, you were not in a great place for sure. Like you were not yourself.
It's true.
You were not. But at the same time, I had to look at myself and say, how am I contributing to this? And there were ways that I was contributing to it.
I think that makes you not necessarily just a better partner, but also like a better business operator.
That's right.
Things work. Like my relationships with my customers now have improved from that. So I think early on, like what I had in the relationship with Ariel was something that like I hadn't experienced, like not just in like a romantic partner, but just like in anyone in my life. So I was like, I need to figure out how to not mess this up.
Yeah.
And then once I started, working through that, like now we're going on like years of, I think we've been together like 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like now we're 7 years in and I'm like, I'm really glad that I took the challenge to like not just run away from this person, because when, we did have those struggles in the beginning, I'm like very much like, there's something special about you.
Yeah,
but
I see
we're having this is a struggle.
Yeah.
And then on her side, like she'll tell you, like she's like, yeah, I really didn't realize how crazy you were. She goes like, this shit would just be like, I'd be like, dude, what is this next level of crazy that we reached here?
Oh, that's fun.
And then finally we reached a point where she was just like, all right, you're crazy. Like we need to like handle this whole situation a completely different way than I have been. And I was just like, fair enough. Okay, I'm open to this. This is going smoothly for me. So, all right.
Part of her that likes to tame the wild beast in you, it seems. Am I right?
Yeah. She definitely has like this, like a lot of people recognize it in her, like this like ability to just kind of like, I don't know if it's like just her touch or like what, like if it's her or if she's like, oh, like something about her. She has just like this
calming presence,
energy to her that just kind of like things work themselves out. They don't just work themselves out, but like she has this like,
she makes you think that they work themselves out, but she really has a master plan.
Yeah. So like there'll be things, like she just has this like, and I don't even like, sometimes it backfires on her. Like I recently lost like a decent amount of weight. Like I was like 170 something pounds, and she came up to me one time and she was just like, do you think you're the program you're on right now, like, do you think it's working? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking strong as shit. And she's just like, she's like, she's like, yes, interesting. And I was like, okay, totally over my head, right? And like a couple weeks later, like after jiu-jitsu, I'm like looking in the mirror in the bathroom. I'm like, I'm getting fat. I see this, but I'm deteriorating. I'm strong as hell, but I'm bulking up too much. And she came over and she goes, yeah, you remember the other day when I asked you if your program was working for you? What I was saying was you're getting fat. And I was like, we're not going to dinner. I'm losing the weight right now. Like, and I go into like full crazy mode where I'm like, we're gonna go back to the gym now. And she's like, no. we need balanced cardio. Your diet's fine. You're just not doing enough cardio. And then like I'm like, I hate the Peloton. She's like, you gotta love the Peloton. And then I'm like, all right. And then like after a month, I was like down 24 pounds back to like normal weight. And she was like, how do you feel now?
Yep.
And I'll be like, it's always like this gentle, like the same way she like you are with her. Probably like I'm probably worse. But it's just like when I get into that mode where I'm like, she calls it smash. Where I'm just like, we're going to blast these obstacles out of our way with just pure aggression.
Right.
And she's just like, maybe don't do that.
Right.
I'm like, yes, you are right. And now I'm at the point now where I'm just like getting more and more like in tune with like, I'm going to run this past Ariel first. Or I'm going to ask Gilmar because he's kind of the same way.
Right.
Like there's been times where like Ariel's like, oh, it's going to be fine. Gilmar's going to be there. Right. I'm like, yes, it will be fine.
Makes me think of I had somebody comment on a Facebook post of mine recently that like, wow, you seem like such an independent woman. And I was like, that's meant to be a compliment. And that's like what I guess a lot of women want to hear, that they're an independent woman. But I was like, it's not totally true. I'm very much interdependent, and I prefer it that way.
Yeah, when I met Ariel, my dating, I was successfully dating, like, I was going on a lot of dates. But it wasn't like, when I met her, I was like, damn, like, you don't need the attention the way other people do. I was kind of like, I was very focused on the business. I was also still in architecture school, running a business, just like, there was a lot working against me.
Right.
In terms of like availability.
Sure.
And she would just kind of like let it be. Whereas other girls would be like, you didn't text me back the day after we just had dinner. I wanted a text at 7 a.m. We're never talking again.
Yeah.
I'd be like, these girls are crazy.
Yeah. I think
and then when you meet her, she's just like,
Yeah.
I told her right off the bat, I'm like, I don't want kids. I don't want to get married. I like sharks. I got a shark app. You like sharks. Like, let's like go on another date.
Right.
Like,
This
this
is
is
great.
cool. This
Yeah,
works
let's
out.
do
Like
that.
this math works out to me.
Yeah.
And then over time, I was just like, damn, like you really give me the space to just like be doing what I'm doing, just like outside of us.
It's that space thing again.
Yeah.
Giving each other space to be
Yeah.
themselves and to express our emotions and not be afraid of our emotions.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I think what you're referencing is that, especially when you're in life with children, and I think especially as you continue to advance in age, there's really a functional dependency that you like. We're not meant to operate in isolation. We're meant to be in community and rely on each other.
Yeah.
It's another thing to be emotionally dependent on someone.
Yeah.
Right. And you're talking about that emotional dependency that you felt from these women because they needed, like, the next day they needed your emotional attention so that to validate that you care about them, that sort of thing. I think what you're referencing is
Well, I'm saying yes to that. Like, that's neediness. That you don't want a partner that's so
No.
needy in that way.
But at this point in our relationship, I think we're both very aware of like our weaknesses and strengths.
Yes.
And we literally will take point, like without really talking about it, on certain situations, because like you'll know, like I'll just sense like Ariel owns her own business now. Because when I first met Ariel, she was working at Children's Hospital on like a cardiovascular ICU floor where like kids were waiting for heart transplants. And one day I was like, how much money do you make? Like, you're living paycheck to paycheck. How much, like, what are we talking here? And she told me, and I was like, no way are you living on that little amount of money, getting paid to do that important
what
of a
you're doing,
job. I was
yeah.
like, that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was like, you should look at other jobs. And she was like, huh, I never thought about that. And then like I was previously in a relationship with like a girl that like literally was a nurse that worked across the street at a different hospital and was making like 3 times what she was.
right.
I was like, I know, why struggle? Like, change jobs. Or like when Corona came around, she called me one day and was like, everybody thinks Ariel quit her nursing job because of Corona. Like, my family loves like whatever. They love to be like, hey, you guys, you're scared of Corona too. And I'm like, no. She called me one day being like, they're telling us to spray Lysol in our masks so that we can reuse them. And I literally was like,
God.
I'm sitting on
So that we can
I've got my
poison ourselves.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I was
That's
like,
great.
I've got my battle station set up. I'm buying
Oh
a bow and
my
arrow.
God. Yeah,
Like,
seriously.
I've got all these supplies coming in. World's going to shit. And I was like, we're ready for this.
Yeah.
And I was like,
End of days.
quit. I was like, just quit. And she was like, really? I was like, quit. Like, whatever. We'll figure that out. I was like, honestly, you now live in Bucks County. It's a very affluent area. All these people are home with their kids. Like, do you think they want to watch their kids? I was like, you're an insanely qualified nurse that's great with kids. Boom, nanny job, making just as much as her nursing job, if not more.
Without Lysol in her mask.
Without Lysol in her mask. So I was like, I was there when she was like unsure of the situation. I was like, no, screw the man.
Yep.
Like, so, but there's times where I'm like dealing with a conflict that I'm like, Smash is about to come out.
Right.
And she's like, why don't you think about it this way? And I'm like, I'm glad I talked to you. You know what I'm saying? And or like now, you know, with her business, she was kind of like, the nannying thing was just, you know, never really was meant to be a long-term thing, but she loved, like, during the coronavirus, she was like hosting like group workout sessions, and she's like, I really like doing this. I was like, you should be a trainer. And then that sprung into like what she's doing now. She's like, I'm like, you're kind of too good to be just a trainer.
Right.
Like, you can't just be a trainer, right? You've got all this knowledge and education and like all this, like maybe something more. And then that's what sprung into what she's doing now. And then it's just kind of like that ebb and flow in your relationship where like he's very much the same way. Like, his girlfriend's like, I want to study mushrooms in Maine for the summer. And he's like, I think that was what it was, right?
It was, she's supposed to go to Boston.
Yeah, Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's just like, yeah, sounds great. And I was just like, okay. And then they're like, oh yeah, we're also moving at the same time. I'll just have to do it myself. And he was like, yep.
Yeah.
I got it.
Whereas
Yeah, it's
most
fine.
other people in his position would just be like, this bitch can hit the road.
Right.
Right. So,
Right.
but there's a value to that. Like, you shouldn't just stay together with somebody because you think that someday we'll be, the value will be there. You have to, like, you know, step by step create that value.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's that ebb and flow in the relationship.
Sounds like you guys are very strategic for each other.
Yeah. Oddly. Yeah.
I think it's hard sometimes to be strategic for yourself. At least I find that.
Yeah.
Like, I found Ariel to be very strategic when I met with her at Amsterdam Coffee with me. And I think
What do you mean?
showing me other ways of looking at things. I was like, I had some frustration around Mathnasium HQ stuff, and I was just kind of blurting it all out. Maybe similar to, I might have been smashing, not, you know, at her, of course. But,
Oh, no. Yeah.
and it was just coming out. I was caffeinated, and she was like there and wanting to help. And I don't usually expect to get good advice back from people around business stuff, you know. And she's like, well, maybe this and maybe that. Maybe you could consider this, and maybe you should do some astrology readings. And she seemed really into it.
Would she
And
introduce you to Julie Krause?
I think I
Yeah.
am following
The
her on
woman's the
Instagram
That
now.
woman's the truth.
Yeah, she's the best.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
We had a
Oh, I'd love to
conversation.
meet her.
She snuck up on Gilmar at our last.
Oh man, I
networking
started
event.
crying.
Really?
Yeah, it was over here having the most emotional conversations. Like, I'm so glad you came up to me and talked to me because I like, oh my God, it was nuts. Yeah, she's awesome.
She's
Yeah,
a
she'll do that
psychic. Is she the one that's the psychic?
She's
Yeah,
a medium, right?
And I'm
Is a
like,
spirit medium.
the world's like, I like information and data. Like, I need the information to make decisions, and then I make
Yes.
like the best decision possible. My experience with psychics, it was non-existent. I'm like, dude, those people are fugazi. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need any of that smoke in here. And Ariel's like, just like, you really enjoyed your podcast with Julie. We've since hung out with her and everything. She's like, maybe just sit down and just like have a session with her. And the shit she brought up in our conversation, there's no absolute possible way that she could have known.
Wow.
Like, I became a believer. I got off the thing. I was just like,
Okay.
I need him. Ariel's like, how was it? And I was like, I don't know. I need to process this.
Yeah.
I need to and it was insanely valuable at the time that I did it.
Awesome.
Because I was like struggling through like business and where to take the business or stay in this business or, you know, with my education and my background and just like who I am as a person, like I could probably do honestly anything. So I'm like, why don't I just do anything else?
Yeah.
And then she just kind of like put it all together for me that I was like, damn, that's insane.
That's cool.
And you are definitely hard to convince.
I'm very hard to convince.
Yeah, that says a lot.
Yeah.
I told you about her actually because
Yes, you
Ariel
did.
spoke
So
so
I've
highly.
gone full deep on like the universe since then.
Awesome.
And now like in thinking about it, it's like like just odd things that we take for granted. It's like you speak to people about like energy or like your visual spectrum. Like we only see like a very small percentage of like what's actually in front of us based upon like the light that our eye absorbs. So I'm like, there's all these other things going on like in terms of like quantum physics in the background that I was aware of, like law of attraction and things. But after speaking to her, I was like, the possibility of what is going on here in our like human experience is quite limitless if you open up to it. And then you speak to people about it and they're just like, no. And I'm like, okay, asshole, you wake up every morning to the sun coming up and down that may or may not explode at any point in time, but harnesses the gravity that keeps all of our planets in orbit. And then we have this asteroid belt that just somehow systematically protects our entire planet from infinite destruction possibilities. We have all of these things in here, but like you will not possibly consider the fact that there might be aliens or supernatural or anything like this. Like you're completely closed off to this, even though we have all of these things here that we don't understand. It's like maybe there's more that we don't understand. And then people are like, no. And I've gone even deeper in on it. And every time I go deeper in on it, it's just like more cool shit happens to me. So I'm just kind of like...
So we should talk about your chart at some point then, because I'm also in this place where my mind is blown by the implications of astrology. Because what this means is that the snapshot of the sky at the time of your birth actually influences your personality.
Do you know about card astrology?
Wait, tell me more. I think I've heard from
that's
Jefferson,
like from Jefferson,
our business coach, or like where you're like
so card astrology. So the playing cards were essentially invented to like navigate Earth. So like the superior beings, like the ultra wealthy back in the day had playing cards, not to play cards, but the cards were kind of like tarot cards, but like systematic. So you would have like your birth card, your day card, the year card, your month card, and all of these cards would represent like I'm white belt in this, so like very basic. I could be butchering this, but it basically represents the relationship we have with the planets. So the cards are just like this system that was invented to like read the planets to make decisions.
So is each person assigned like based on your birthday? You are the 7 of diamonds. Is it like that?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yes, I do know of this. I know I'm the queen of clubs, and you are the ace of diamonds. Do you know what yours is?
I could pull it up, but not. I do. I look at it all the time, but I don't. I want to say something diamonds, or 2 of hearts, maybe.
I think you get like a heart card also. Like it's like a pair. Like
so you have like your relationship card. There's multi-levels to this, but if you look at the history of card astrology, you look at it and you're like, holy shit, battles were decided whether or not to fight like huge and I'm talking going back into like, you know, before medieval times, like when we lost written history.
This is fascinating. I think it must be built on astrology. It has, right?
Well, I think everything's built on astrology. Like I know that like JP Morgan was supposed to be on the Titanic.
Oh, I heard this.
And then didn't.
Because of an astrologer?
Well, he had this pocket watch. It's very famous, and like nobody's ever been able to like get it. And the pocket watch wasn't like a time. It was like he could look at it and see like where the planets were. So he looked down and was like, "Yep, not today. Not getting on this boat today.
Not doing that." Wow.
Yeah. So like the ultra, that's why when people get into like conspiracy theories and stuff like that, like there is a degree of me that believes in it, but there's also a degree of me that believes in just like you get a bunch of dumb people together, you're going to have dumb outcomes. And you get a bunch of powerful dumb people that like I would never hire an 80-year-old person to work at my company. Why would I have him lead the country? You know, so it's like this whole demographic of people, these geriatric folks that are seemingly unemployable. It's like you can work at Walgreens, you can bag groceries, and you could also be president.
Right.
But you can't work any other job in between. So like part of me is like, that's just stupid people. But then you see other people moving and operating, and you're like, there is something about these folks that it's strategic, it's thought out. They don't waste time. They don't make the mistakes the way other people make mistakes. And it's not what I know about operating in things is like you have to have more information than we have. So like what information could you possibly have that is inaccessible to human beings now that we have the internet? Like everything is available to us. So what do you know that we don't know, and how are you coming to these conclusions? And it's like your respect and understanding of the universe is superior to the average person's. So like there's a lot of folks that are like, elite wealthy that are operating with the understanding of the universe that like you and I are talking about right now, that the average everyday man writes off completely. So when I started like reading more, like I'm just a nerd all around. Like I love history, I love math, I love science, all of it. But when I start getting into the history and then looking at like the universe stuff, there's things with the pyramids, there's things with like circumnavigation of the globe, sailing, all these understandings that we've kind of like given up on. And as we get more integrated with computers, we, forget more and more of that technology. But there was a period in time where like we relied and respected the planets, like the Vikings.
Oh yeah.
Like they had like a huge ability to navigate that they shouldn't have. And it's been completely discounted by historians that say, no, they couldn't have done that. But it's like all of a sudden you like pop up in fucking Montana and there's a bunch of Viking stuff.
Right.
It's like, well, how did they go from, looting England to all of a sudden ending up in middle America that apparently nobody was at?
Nobody had been there, but meanwhile.
But Vikings just figured out how to like take their ship apart and
Right.
move it across the country.
Right.
Right. Or the notion that like Africans, like, and this is a very delicate topic because of like the slave trade, but the conversation that there weren't Africans in South America and the Caribbean before the slave trade is like a widely known thing that we don't talk about. And I think there's a great value to like, especially the African culture, to be like, look, like you guys were sailing the world before all of that. Like their culture has been like diminished by like the fact that they were enslaved. And it's like, no, but like you guys were kings and queens and very powerful people at one point. Like
that goes against the narrative.
It goes against the narrative. It's like the idea that the pyramids could be built, but those folks couldn't sail to South America.
Of course they could have.
100% it's possible. And like it definitely happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like that's what happened from my conversation with Julie Krause. I went on a deep dive into like looking back at history in relationship to like people that respected the universe like throughout time.
I had no idea you were going to connect it back to that. That's where you went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, I literally just like went back into the stuff I knew about history and was like, what was going on here?
Wow.
Yeah, like the Nazis all had crazy relationships with like the astrology and stuff like that. Rocket technology, like all of these things.
That's
are like,
how you used your time when the psychic was to like
No,
figure out the world, figure out history.
No, that's not my time with her. That's like what I did after my time with her. I used my time with her very selfishly.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
But that's what
As you should,
sparked
but that's
that.
what
Dude,
came
I was
out.
just like, how did she know this? Like how, like what told her this? Like what energy, what spirit, like what, I went on a huge deep dive about the Bible. Like, and like the Holy Spirit and like, what is the Bible? And like, I went on a mushroom deep dive. Like were mushrooms, have you heard about the mushroom ape theory, I think? Where mushrooms, like apes, like are seen in science today, are observed like flipping over like, like cow patties, like just like piles of shit to like look for food because they eat bugs and things like that. So there's like this whole idea that like, were they doing that and then, consumed mushrooms? And then like over thousands and millions of years, the ape mind evolved into the human mind we have today because of like consumptions of psilocybin.
Whoa. Is this all like because you're trying to understand like how to optimize yourself in this lifetime? Or is it
just curiosity?
Real curiosity.
I think younger me would have been like, I'm going to be a trillionaire. I'm going to learn everything I possibly can. But like older me, like 35-year-old me is just like, I want to know all of that just for just my own selfish.
Understanding the world at a higher level.
I also understand now that the way you help people and build relationships and like make an income, like impact in your community is largely to do with like your financial success and everything like that. So you can't really look or come at financial success directly. Like there are people that get lucky doing that. But, you know, when you see someone like Elon Musk and they're just like, oh, he just got lucky. It's like, no. That was always very intentional.
Yeah.
And you look at that and you're like, well, and then there's people that are very critical of like the elite wealth. It's like, well, we got to take it from them. It's like, no, they have that money because they made such an impact on what we're doing right now that like they were given that wealth. So it's like people's relationships with money is very incorrect. Like money is, in my opinion, money is quite infinite because like we have like the sun, we take for granted that the sun, you know, comes up every day and goes down every day. But it's like people worry about money like in its scarcity, but then there's people that just don't worry about it all and somehow always figure it out.
Yep.
Right.
It's like because they're just either just accustomed to it or they like actively think that way.
Right, because it's like an energy. Like money is like an energy.
Yeah,
and
it's what you do with it yields. Like, so when I talk to people and be like, rich people are all assholes. And I'm like, I know a ton of rich people that are not assholes. They're the furthest thing from that. So it's just kind of like money's the root of all evil. It was all these things that were like fed to us through like the Bible or different, you know, curriculums throughout the years that like make us not challenge the people that knew the information. Deep stuff, right?
Deep.
Mathnaisum, right?
Yeah.
You guys opened the location in 2015.
I mean, critical thinkers. Critical thinkers. We need more critical thinkers like this.
Yes.
I mean, and that's what we grow at Mathnasium, critical thinkers.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of shit going on in the world today, and there's a lot of, as Joe Rogan calls it, fuckery going on.
Yes.
And I think we need more and more critical thinkers, and and we need our children to be critical thinkers too.
Oh yeah.
Because we're in some deep problems in the society.
Yeah, without a doubt. I guess like when you guys were building your curriculum, were you building it from like you know, the children need to hit these milestones, or were you looking at it like in that abstract sense where like we need to not just teach them, you know, multiplication, but we need to teach them to think critically about like every time you come up with a 2 and an 8, like it does one thing, but if you go with a 20 and an 80, like you just make them like realize the bigger picture of what all that's doing.